So hello and welcome to anybody who's watching the recording version of this. We forgot to press record. We just had some awesome warm-up improv games, and then we did a game called we did a game called Fortunately, Unfortunately, or Good News, Bad News for somebody who was thinking about wanting to leave their work, but not wanting to quit. And we were looking at different ways to possibly play with that. And then we just did an awesome little game called Yes and, where you build the momentum on an idea where someone's stuck. In this case, it was Sam, who was feeling stuck about giving herself some personal care. And so we ended up with this awesome idea where she was out taking walks, that she then invited some friends in and was getting exercise, and they were brainstorming on how to improve their lives. Then they started podcasting it and video recording it, increasing their speaking skills. And so this energy builds up, versus the kind of energy that tends to happen when we're in our own brain and the critic comes up, or you're in a meeting and someone enthusiastically suggests an idea and someone's like, yeah, but that's going to cost too much money, or yeah, but. So we're exercising the yes and energy.
Absolutely. And if we had yes butted each other, and let's just face it, a yes but is just a no masquerading around in cheap perfume and costume jewelry. That's all it is. I mean, it's still a no. It's still a no. And the thing that I like to laugh about that is that if we had yes butted each other, Leif and I could have very well done that. But then these ideas would never have bubbled to this walking, podcasting, brainstorming session that gives you self-care. You're out in the beautiful sunshine. You're being inspired. You're meeting people. You're deepening relationships. You're getting ideas for social media. You're inspiring other people. Holy cow, all this stuff is happening because you yes-anded possibility. So it's such a powerful thing. The small little thing, but it's a big thing.
Yeah. It's just on a little woo-woo-y side note, one thing to pay attention to is that dynamic is happening constantly in life. Like the every day in life, the universe is presenting you opportunities, relationships, things to do. And if you just practice for a day or something, maybe saying yes to whatever comes your way. And here, an important thing to say about that is saying yes doesn't always mean agreeing to the totality of what is brought your way. Yeah. Saying yes is always seeing something of value. So saying, it's in the person that's offering something to you, it's seeing something of value, and you're finding some way to say yes and then add value to it. That's the dynamic we're looking at.
And that's a really important point to reiterate what Leif is saying, because it's so key. A lot of times, sometimes we think that yes and, I'm agreeing to something. Not really. It doesn't mean you're going to go do that. You're not going to go write the corporate check to fund every idea that you yes-anded, because some of those ideas aren't going to be viable. However, what's so powerful is yes and is that you are going to generate ideas that, had you yes butted, you would never have gotten to. You would never have gotten to. So you're going to generate more and better quality ideas. And you don't have to look at it as saying yes to Leif's point about the totality of doing every idea. It doesn't mean that. But give yourself that gift of yes-anding, because even if you take it to a really crazy place, you're gonna end up with 3 or 4 really viable ideas out of 10 that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So allow yourself to revel in possibility. That's really important.
Sam, that was what Sam says. This is such a great show, and it's 100% unique. There isn't another show like this. Thank you. I can use all this stuff. Oh, that's so sweet, Sam. Thank you.
Sam, thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming on and helping us. That's great. That's awesome.
It's cool. A lot of people, when they hear the term improv, the first thing they think of is improv comedy and stage fright and that kind of stuff. Improvisation, I mean, when you're just talking freely with someone, you're improvising. And you're able to do it because you probably are talking to a friend you feel safe with. So what we do in the world of applied improvisation is that we find ways to create enough safety in ourselves and with others that you can tap into that same sort of creative momentum. That's all it really is. It's self-trust, really. So anybody else out there have another challenge that's going on in your life? Elaine, I know you probably have something for us, or Carrie or Michael, that you would enjoy seeing a similar process as what we just did with Sam. We're happy to do it. Absolutely. And if we don't get something in a 30 seconds or so, then I will go ahead and we'll do the one we were talking about earlier. Absolutely.
It's all good. It's all good. The improv doctors are in. So
that's right.
Yeah, no, this is fun. One of the things, and what I love about these exercises while we're sort of, waiting here, is that anybody can do them. You can go back, you can do them. It's helpful to do them with another person. You can even yes and yourself. How many times do we yes but ourselves? We do it all the time. So the more that you can just take these ideas and start using them regularly, I promise you're going to see a difference. And even if you just do nothing but yes and people instead of yes but in your own personal conversations, you're going to see a really interesting dynamic shift. You're going to see the energy of the conversation change. You're going to see your relationships change just because you let that person feel like they were heard. And yes but does not do that. Yes and lets people feel that they're heard. So use it. I promise you're going to see the energy of a conversation shift.
Sam, you did an animated GIF in Twitter. I don't know how you did that so quickly. That was funny. Kathy, you're going like this. You're like,
I know. This is true. And I have said this. So whoever made it, you are right. Let me tell you, I saw an animated GIF of myself that somebody created, and I realized that, oh my God, I am the personification of an animated GIF in my life. I am a walking, talking animated GIF. That's what I am. I am.
How are you doing that so quickly, Sam? What are you using to do that? It automatically showed up. Oh, Blab is now automatically when you retweet. Blab does it for every Tell a Little Bird. Oh, that's so cool.
It's really cool. And I've seen myself, and I am an animated GIF, and I accept that because it's funny. And that's me embracing
Let's do it right, Kathy. Let's do animated GIFs right now. Ready? Like, let's just do them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But the funny part about that is that people wouldn't be able to tell that was contrived versus what I actually do.
Yeah. I'm a wild and crazy guy. All right. So we just had a few people. Hello, Les and Funky Cerebral. If you're just joining us now, we are basically taking people's business challenges, and we're taking some different improvisational structures and games and helping you to find a solution storm breakthrough. Mm-hmm. So you could go ahead and request coming into a seat and give us a live description, and then we'll boot your booty out of there, or you can type something up and we'll be happy to respond. And maybe, Kathy, while people are thinking of something that they want to get play formed, we can go ahead and do the one that I mentioned earlier. Shall we?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's do the bad advice game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll both do it. We'll both give myself bad advice.
Okay.
So in this game, we are going to be giving some bad advice to myself about how to figure out what specific niche I want to work with for my creative facilitation class. And as you might guess, the value in that is that you really kind of start seeing the good advice behind the bad advice. Okay.
Yeah. We'll debrief. I promise. Yeah. I promise later.
Yeah.
Okay. So
right.
I think you should open up a book randomly to a page, and whatever word that your finger lands on, that's the niche that you should serve.
Yes. Yes. And this is interesting doing it as a bad advice and then, because it doesn't really matter who you work with. As a matter of fact, you could just, I could do creative facilitation classes for garbage men, because that's, matter of fact, I think I'm just going to look for a book right now and see, while you're giving your good advice, your bad advice, I'll try and find a book.
Yeah. Well, and if you're serving garbage men, you might as well serve all city employees, because all city employees in a lot of cities have a lot to do with very limited government resources. And so they need that help.
That's right. And, garbage men tend to be really outgoing. And so, they're going to, I'm sure, really, want to learn a class about how to facilitate groups. And
we can invite other people from other cities, and like librarians, for example. We can invite people from the DMV. We can invite other people who work in a government capacity that maybe don't like their jobs.
Yeah. Get people I could even do a workshop for people who all really don't like people in general.
Now I'm going to stop right here just for a second to address a question that came in by Funky Cerebral. Because let me give a little context here. He or she, I'm not sure, is asking, is it productive? Yeah. So let me give you a little brief. What it is you're coming up with really bad advice, because then what we do is out of the bad advice,
reverse engineer, because it forces your brain to think about it in a different way. Let me give you an example. If I had a meeting right now and I said, everybody give me right now, drop and give me 10 new ideas on how to increase customer engagement, your brain goes, But what if I said, give me 10 ideas on how we could make the customer experience worse? You would come up with 50 ideas. And then all we have to do is take each of those ideas and flip it and start to figure out where to look for how to make things better. You might say, well, then increase wait times in our call centers. Well, then let's go to our call centers and figure out how to shorten those times, because that's a good idea. So we're coming at it the opposite way. And this is actually a very productive way to get your brain to see things new, is what we're doing. So that's the issue. And here's what I think came out of this beautiful thing that Leif and I were doing, is that government, it started out as let's give bad advice, but we ended up with a niche. What if you did creative facilitation for people who serve government entities? Because a lot of government workers are stressed. They have to do a lot with very little support and very little, maybe respect or budget. There's a huge opportunity to make people who serve you at the DMV, in libraries, happier, better customer service providers. So that itself is actually a really decent niche. True.
So just that's sort of what we're doing. Does that make sense? We're coming at it the opposite way. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
Funky Cerebral's on board.
Okay, good. I just wanted, because it's a great question, and if you came in midway, you might have missed the setup that Leif and I had. There you go. Okay.
And I really like, Kathy, how you point out that, because one of the sensors that we deal with constantly when we're working with others and in ourselves is, am I being smart enough or clever enough, or is this a good enough idea? And if you if you give people opportunities to go, that doesn't fucking matter right now. Matter of fact, we want you to come up with bad ideas. We want you to fail. I will usually start my workshops by saying the goal in our next couple hours is to fail as much as possible. Yeah. So people already realize that, failing is actually how you grow up. It's how you learn. So imagine a little kid who had never walked before. And it's like, I don't want to look stupid if I fall over. It's like that kid's never going to learn how to walk, but they're just curious, and they just they stand and they fall, and they stand and they fall. And that's how they learn to walk.
And that's how they learn to walk. And not only that, but one of the things we were talking about earlier to Funky Cerebral, because it's a great point that you were making, is we assume sometimes that things are bad ideas, but not necessarily, because that's our own bias. Now, we could assume that it's a bunch of bad ideas to create a niche around serving government workers, but actually there are creative facilitators out there that serve that niche, and probably very well, because it's a mistake to think that necessarily, because our bias is, well, that's just a bad idea. Well, how do we know that? And part of what improv is doing is challenging these assumptions. Because in the example that Leif and I talked about earlier, what about restaurants that don't have menus? And there have been examples of restaurants that got rid of menus and were very successful doing it. And this idea, this rule that every restaurant has to have a menu, well, not necessarily.
Yep. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Funky Cerebral. Plus, I like your handle. That's actually a very cool handle.
It's kind of an improv handle.
Yeah, it is. I like it. It is a different way. And thanks, Sam. Yeah, it is a very different way. One of the things that improv is really good at is laying down new tracks and neural networks. And part of the reason why traditional brainstorming techniques don't work over and over again is because we're used to seeing things the same way over and over and over again. And if you come at things backwards or sideways, we're going to start to see things we didn't see before. And that's what improv is excellent at.
Just for the fun of it, Kathy, something I was curious if it would work on live video is doing the two-headed alien.
Oh.
You think it would be real time enough we could do it?
I don't even have to remind me because.
Oh, so this basically we're speaking at the same time.
Oh.
I
get
it. I don't. We try doing it. Wow. It's a little bit of a delay. It's a bit trickier with the live video. It's like just that slight half-second delay.
But you'll notice that one of the things that happens with that is that at like halfway through it, I knew exactly where Leif was taking it, and I was able to anticipate the words that he was going to say. Our group, we had the group mind meld, and that was kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah. All
it's
right.
Like the other name for that game could be Annoying Little Brother.
Yeah.
Which would have been me trying to imitate. Hello, Sanyam. Welcome. So I would love for us to, Sanyam, we've been doing some really fun, creative improv games, helping people who are feeling stuck in a particular area in their life, particularly business challenges. So you can either jump in live or type something up, and we will take your challenge and we will play form it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm surprised that, she looks like she left. But Carrie, who writes about small business and technology, would you let us know? Oh, you are here. Yes. Hello, Marcia.
Hi, Marcia.
So feel free to go ahead and either jump in live or type up a business challenge. Otherwise, you guys are just you want to observe. That's no problem.
No problem. One of the things I was thinking of, if we didn't have anything in the text chat, and that's okay, because sometimes people are just curious about how to apply improv, is that one game that I like to do a lot is put to another use, which is we call it object freeze out here in my neck of the woods, but it's taking an object and using it for something other than what it was designed for, because you'll come up with new ideas of things to do. So like maybe one of the things, Leif, you and I could demonstrate as a game for people to use is how many things could we find to do with a smartphone? What could we do with this? Now pretend your smartphone is not a smartphone. In fact, it is something else. How many things could we come up with? And here's what it does. It starts giving you product ideas and ideas that just aren't obvious. So,
Kathy, will you, for fun, try handing it to me across the screen here?
Yeah, I will. I'm going to try to do that.
Thank you.
I wasn't very slick at that.
So you'll have to go off. Yeah, here we go. I'll hand it back to you.
Okay.
Here you go.
Hand it back to me. Thank you.
Oh, you flipped it around at the same time.
I did. Okay.
All right. So I wanted to introduce to you guys my my new floatable raft for your pet mice. So this little raft, if you have a pet mouse, it floats on the water. And because it also has a built-in GPS system, you can see where your mouse is traveling all around the world. You put it on a river, put it on the ocean. It's pretty amazing.
This is a solar-powered battery pack for the robot husband that I may or may not be building in my basement.
This is an interdimensional portal that, if you lick it, will take you to another dimension.
This is a bobsled that I created for my hamster. And we are entering the Animal Olympics with this.
This is a heat pack. It lasts for about 8 hours. You can stick it into your ski gloves, and it keeps you incredibly warm.
This is a defibrillator that I can use on my lab. My dog. Not the evil lab that I'm designing in my basement.
This is it's an amazing boomerang rock skipper. So it's been ergonomically designed so it's the perfect weight and smoothness when you skip it on the water. It will skip out for as many skips as you wish, and then it will skip right back to you.
This is a object that could be used in a bar for flirting. So instead of passing a tip on the bar, if I see somebody across the bar that I want to send a little flirty message to, I just stick it on here and I just slide it on down the bar, the end of the bar, to enhance my dating.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is a sterilized butt wiper. And so you can use it once, you press a button, sterilizes all the poopy stuff off of it, and you can use it again.
This is oh my gosh, you did not just say that. So the way it works is that if somebody says something I don't like, I just hit them upside the head. You did not just say that. You did not just say that.
All right. This is, we'll do just a few more of these here. This is a stick-on Band-Aid. It's you don't need to peel anything off, and they're reusable. You can just stick them on, and it immediately stops all bleeding.
This is a massager. So like if, you can't reach those places that, really need to, and you kind of can go like this, that's really kind of get those knots in your shoulders out.
Oh yeah. I like all those corners are just perfect for that.
Yeah, Great. Totally.
All right. So
why are we doing this?
We're doing this because a lot of times you might have a business and maybe it's a product development business, or and you're stuck. You can really take anything. You can take something as simple as a pen, and it stretches the part of your mind that starts helping you to see things other than what it already is. And obviously you can imagine in terms of ideation, in terms of creative brainstorming. That's one reason why. Why else are we doing it, Kathy?
Well, one of the things that we talk about a lot here is that our brain is used to seeing things in the same way. And as Leif is explaining, what if we just suspended belief about what a product actually is? We can start to see ideas that maybe didn't bubble up. Now, we're not going to probably, if I'm Apple or if I'm an iPhone or any smart device manufacturer, I'm probably Samsung, whatever. I'm not going to all of a sudden create a defibrillator for dogs with this. But here's what it does do. It also gives me ideas for content and campaigns and funny ways to think about videos. What if I actually created a video campaign? 50 things to do with your smartphone other than use it as a smartphone. Now, that actually could be a very funny campaign that you could do for your company because it's lighthearted. It says, I get it. It's not all about you buying our products. And that's a great way to connect, especially with millennials. So sometimes you'll come up with ideas that are just out there enough to where it's fun, it's lighthearted, and it's doable.
Excellent. Yeah. It's really kind of amazing to me. I've done it for something as simple as like a piece of lint or a paper clip in a group of 25 people in a circle. And at first people are thinking there's no way we're going to be able to come up with ideas for this. Yeah. And then people are amazed to watch as it goes around. It just keeps being reinvented. Yeah. And reality gets reframed in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's just language you're playing with.
There is. And there's another version of that, of what we call, I call it object freeze in my neck of the woods. When I was trained at Comedy Sports, that's what we called it. It's called many things. And the main thing is you put it to another use. But the other way to put to another use is to take any object, take any service that you have, and then add on to it. So Leif and I actually came up with different products, but I could have just as easily taken one of his suggestions and added onto it. So maybe the example that you gave early on about it was something for your pet. I forgot what it was, but
the mouse flotation device.
The mouse flotation device. I actually could have added onto that, and I could have said it's not just we're going to turn it into a mouse cruise ship. We're going to put walls on it, and we could keep adding onto it. So then instead of having product ideas that maybe are a little desperate, and not desperate, but disparate, that go different. I just want to clarify, disparate, not desperate. Go that different directions and they're not connected. Yes, and brings them together. So you end up with stuff that builds on top of each other, and you actually end up with some really interesting ideas that way.
I was just thinking of an activity we could do either with someone, if someone out there does have a challenge, or I could do with you, Kathy, if you have something you'd want to suggest, an area you're feeling stuck right now.
Well, one thing I always love to do is I always love to I just love to break assumptions. So here's what I'll do. One of my favorite things to do is to challenge assumptions around conservative industries. So I was dealing with a bank the other day, and they also, actually more than a bank, they also offer like life insurance and all that other stuff. And one of the assumptions that I get a lot is, well, because it's a very serious regulated industry, we can't be serious. We can't do fun stuff in our business. I mean, we just can't do that. It's like, because our clients are serious and they wouldn't do anything fun. And so I thought maybe we could have some fun challenging that notion, maybe come up with ideas of what a serious financial business could do.
A serious financial services business.
Yes.
Okay.
So we could maybe one of the things, instead of taking it, there's two ways to go here. You can obviously, we can sort of iterate on ideas for content, or we could say, look, what about products and services? What about if I challenge the assumption that everything has to be serious? And I don't think that's true, because the millennials, especially care about having fun, and millennials want stuff. So what if we actually sort of iterated on product ideas or service ideas that are fun to cater to millennials? How about that?
Financial products and services that cater to millennials.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a good challenge. By the way, Funky Cerebro, were you saying charity as a business to bring play to, or bring some charity? One of the ideas we bring into the financial services? I'm thinking the latter, probably.
I think it's probably the latter, but it would be good to get clarity. Yes, the latter. Okay. And I agree with you. And that's a great assumption. So we'll start there. Yes. And we're going to actually, because we know that millennials care about giving back and about social responsibility, we're going to give them the option with their cards to give a percent, not only back to their own account, but to give to different charities that they'd like to give to.
Yes. And we're going to do a campaign on our site where they get to vote for the top charities that we want to make available to them for their cards. And that will help raise awareness for the charities and also help them feel like they're the ones that are choosing. And it'll drive some traffic to our website too.
Mm-hmm. And we also know that some of those charities might be about animals, because we know millennials love animals. So we'll give them maybe the option to bring some of their pets into the business, into the banks.
Yes, and we'll have like a little pet grooming station in our bank where people can bring their pets and just kind of hang out and have like a little chill time, and maybe do some financial classes for their pets.
And we'll actually have mixer night where they can bring their pets. So not only will we teach them about good financial principles, but who knows? They might pick up a few other things as well. Now that's up to them, but it'll be a social mixer and it'll be fun.
And maybe we'll have some local professionals who work with pets, pet trainers, some pet food specialists, some pet food stores, and we'll offer them some particular financial services for coming in and doing a demonstration during that event.
Ooh, yes. And maybe we will have a pet day where they can donate to certain charities and maybe adopt a pet. So maybe one event will be around the local SPCA, and millennials will be able to donate to causes they care about.
Yes. And I think there's a new service for that I'd like to also develop. That's another kind of charity. And that would be where we have them bring in children who are wanting to, we want to basically teach some financial literacy to children. So we can have, because kids these days, they get sucked into debt. But if we can kind of teach them some financial services early on, be kind of like a family, bring your kids in day.
Oh, how fun. And they had like maybe financial coloring books for the kids so that they can color and learn at the same time. Maybe some crossword puzzles will make it fun.
Yeah. And there'll be a prize. We can have a prize where the kid, maybe the top three that coloring book, the top three drawings that we appreciate, we can frame there in our bank, and that we also give those kids a bank account for $500 each, and help them kind of get started.
And on top of that, that brilliant idea, we are going to have a young entrepreneurs forum, and we are going to teach kids entrepreneurial skills. And we are going to the bank will fund the winning idea that one of the kids has come up with.
Ooh, that would be awesome. And then we can help the community rally around that project and come up with, either a bank loan to help them fund it all the way, or teach them about crowdsourcing possibilities, or use one of our other services.
Awesome. Yeah.
So who knew that banking could be so fun?
Yeah, but there's some cool ideas that came out of that. Seriously. Totally cool. I mean, I would love it if, the banks near me or the serious financial services near me would actually start thinking about what millennials need and how to educate kids with financial literacy and make it fun. And these are viable ideas, not everything, but some of the stuff actually is viable. Some of it, and fintech. Yeah. You could also use apps, create fun apps. That's a great point at Funky Cerebral. How about creating some fun apps for millennials and their kids so that they could learn about, saving in a way that's fun, and so there's a lot of things that could be done. Not all these ideas are going to be viable, but I think there's so much more fun, and that financial services firms could be doing so much more.
Tuppence.
Well,
I like the app. I was just thinking of an app that kids could use that as they invest, they get to watch this garden grow, or they get to watch this, this little world get developed as their investment grows, or something like that. As they put their savings in, they get to see sort of not just the piggy bank, but they get to have the app element to that. That would be cool.
Totally. Make it fun, gamify it, make it a fun kind of thing. Absolutely. Well, I mean, in Funky Cerebral, you bring up a good point about, corporate culture does often get in the way. And I think that is the biggest impediment with, I think, a lot of serious financial services firms, is that you're absolutely right. I think the product people are over here going, we have to attract millennials. We've got to be less messaging about stuffy to your parents' generation, and much more what millennials want. The issue is that in some of these very big firms, there's a legacy. There's an old corporate culture, and it's very stuffy. And yes, so I think you're right, but more could be done. And that's just an example of how you could do some brainstorming to come up with new ideas. So there you go.
All right. I think we've got about maybe time for one more person out there. If you've joined us late and you have a challenge or an idea that you want just to see some brainstorming, one game, Kathy, that I was thinking about doing was Color Advance, just to kind of get into if there's something that you have or someone else has that you need to kind of fill out the details on. It's a good activity.
Yeah.
I literally have in front of me right now a database that I've collected of over 200 activities that I have stolen or made up in these kind of situations.
Yeah, the improv community is we borrow from each other, and there's a lot of these things, and we adapt them, and they're very malleable.
Everybody has their own pet names too, which can get a bit tricky. Like, do you mean that one? Or
yeah. I find that we all have the same games. We just call them differently. Yeah. Do you want to do one more game? I'm up for it. I'm not familiar with the one you mentioned, but I may know it under a different name.
Color Advance is it's a great tool for a number of things. It's basically you'll tell some sort of story, or maybe in this context you could talk about your challenge, and at a certain point I will say color blank. So if you're saying I was walking down the street with my mother, I might say color mother, and you would then have to start talking about going to the next level of detail about your mother until I say advance, and then you zoom back up to your previous story, and I get to therefore sort of be in control of the granularity of your story, of what interests me, and help you to think of things you maybe not hadn't thought of before.
Right. Okay.
But there's many other ones too.
Yeah, it is 1 o'clock. Do you want to try something briefly and just demonstrate it? And that'll be our final activity.
Yeah. We'll do a final activity here just so you guys can play with this one. This is an easy one to do with, with a friend, with a business partner. And so, Kathy, why don't you go ahead and share with me? It could be a memory, it could be a challenge you're having, or anything.
Just okay. So I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So I just had a wedding anniversary not too long ago, and my man makes a great husband. You know what he doesn't make is reservations. And I kept saying, hey, you got the reservations thing under control? Yeah, I got it. So,
color reservations.
So there's this one place I really wanted to go, and it's a hole in the wall, and it's only got about 12 tables, and it's got a long wait list for a Friday night. So you cannot get into this place without reservations. It's a very expensive organic Italian restaurant, about 20 minutes from my house, and the wait list is like a mile long. And anyway, he's like, yeah, I got it. So we drove to 4 different places on my anniversary because my husband didn't make reservations. And I was like, oh dear. There's that story that every couple has where it's that long drive home where nobody's talking and that
color, nobody's talking.
It's the silence, it's the awkward silent tension where
color tension
where
between your husband.
It's where the music seems very loud and you need something in there because you've got 2 people not talking, and the awkwardness of the not talking because your wife is not happy that she didn't have reservations and asked you about the reservations for a couple of weeks.
Color not happy.
Your wife goes into silent mode and doesn't even look at you. She's just looking straight ahead as you drive, and you're driving very slow home because you know that you don't want to get to that final destination and have a conversation. So you're slowing down. You're taking the long back streets home to stretch out the route. So yeah, I think we finally we're so hungry. I think we ended up, I believe, at one of those kind of like fast food kind of restaurants, and it actually wasn't bad. It wasn't horrible. It's just, it was more the time. We could have just gone there in the first place. It was the time that we spent driving around on my anniversary, and I could have thought of a million other things we could have been doing.
Color a million other things that you could have done.
Watching a movie, eating at that fancy organic Italian restaurant, talking, having a great time, drinking wine and connecting instead of connecting on our anniversary, which is supposed to bring us together. Now there's that weird tension because Kathy's upset that, we were driving around to 4 different restaurants. And so I don't think, yeah. So neither one of us really had the anniversary dinner experience that we thought we were going to have. And like I said, I'm okay with it. Had we just gone there first and saved the frustration of driving around randomly trying to find a place, that would have probably been better. So yeah, not the best anniversary dinner experience, but he made it up to me the next night.
Color the best anniversary experience.
The best anniversary experience. He made reservations to this lovely place for the next evening, and we had a lovely time, and it was wonderful, and we connected like we're supposed to on our anniversary.
Connected.
Well, the rated PG version is we no longer were upset, and we were actually drinking wine and having a good time and not talking about being parents. We were talking about each other, which never happens. And so, so we did some things that couples do when the kids aren't around. So there you go.
Color things the kids do when we're not. No, I was kidding. We could have really grilled you there.
I know.
Good.
I know.
Thanks for going where no man has gone before, but a woman did.
Yeah.
Hello, Jason.
A woman would have made reservations. Can we just all agree?
Yeah. Was it a particularly busy night, or was it just?
Well, it's a Friday night. Our anniversary fell on and that's a popular date night. And the particular restaurant that I was talking about really honestly is a hole in the wall. It's only got a few tables. They've got a mile-long wait list. So you just can't show up and be casual. Like you just can't do that.
Yeah.
And so my husband's sort of casual, like, we'll just saunter in and get a table. No.
That's when improv isn't at its best, and I would be probably sometimes probably sometimes that kind of person who would improvise. And often life does sort of just work out the best situation. But yeah, it's good on those special occasions to have a little bit of planning in advance.
It is.
So Jason, who just joined, we're actually wrapping up. We've been doing a variety of creative improv games, SolutionStorming, both our own challenges and other people who volunteered their challenges. We're going to keep doing this show. We might tweak the concept a little bit.
Yeah.
But the general thing, the purpose that we have in this is to help people see how Kathy and I both, I'm sure, Kathy, you believe this. We believe that everybody is far more brilliant than they probably think they are. And that what tends to get in the way is, it's our fear of looking silly, our fear of looking stupid, our coolness, our isms, our professionalism, our whatever ism it is that's part of our ego, our kind of scripted self. Improvisation helps you get outside of that script and that says, I should be this way. I have to talk this way. I can't say these kind of ideas. And helps open you up to being yourself more authentically. And that helps you be a more dynamic presenter. That helps you to be more attractive in how you're relating to people in business. That helps you be more creative when you're brainstorming, whatever kind of business situation you're in and getting unstuck. Improvisation in some ways is sort of it's kind of a magic bullet. And it's growing really rapidly in popularity around the world right now in terms of business application. If you go to like Fast Company and Google improvisation, you'll see there's been like half a dozen articles in this last year. And we're also part of a network called the Applied Improv Network. You can go to appliedimprov.com or .org and find some more there. And maybe we should do a short plug for ourselves too of what we do, Kathy, or save that for another time.
Sure. The short of it is, for me, it's, I am the founder of keepingithuman.com, and I do storytelling and creative facilitation for companies across the industry spectrum. And you can find me at Kathy Klotz-Guest that's my Twitter handle. Go ahead, Leif.
Awesome. And I also do some creative facilitation, both personal, professional, and organizational development. So whether that's team building or teaching people creative collaboration and adaptive thinking in a business level. And recently what I'm trying to do is actually do an online creative facilitation class. So for people who do work with groups, trying to teach you both the inner game confidence side of things and also the outer game of how to have more magic, some spells. We're teaching you some magic spells for how to have a real impact, because I'll say one plug for this whole industry is information, in my opinion, is dead. Like by itself, content, it just sits there. And people are overwhelmed these days with, there's a million blog posts, there's a million videos, there's a million podcasts you can listen to. So what's going to become increasingly more in demand is live interactive stuff like this, whether it's in person, where you can really be full-bodied, multidimensional connecting with people, or even live media like this. As you can tell, it's kind of the new rave right now with all the new live media apps. So developing skills on how to be more improvisational, how to be in the moment, how to be more confident with that is increasingly important. So that's kind of why we're excited about this stuff. So
absolutely. And Leif, when is the next time that we're going to be doing this?
Did we decide to go ahead and do it next week because the week after was Thanksgiving? Is that what we thought?
I think so. We were targeting for doing this again next Friday. I think we just have to figure out the time because of a noon situation that I have. But we talked about doing this next, because the next week after that, that's Thanksgiving. It's
the day after Thanksgiving. So you guys are going to be sitting around going, not wanting to go on a blab, or maybe you will, who knows? Maybe it'll be like the ultimate blab day. But if you're not following Kathy or me, go ahead and make sure you're following us here now. And then we'll let you guys know when the next show is happening. And you can find me at sparkguy.com. And Kathy, you're where again?
keepingithuman.com.
Keeping it human.
Keeping it human. I'm an animated GIF, y'all.
All right, I'm going to take recording off.